Thank you, Mr. President. I will accept the yield, and I want to thank Senator Stillman for her leadership and her patience as we worked through this bill. It was a very inclusive process of legislators, advocates, parents, and philanthropy, and I will go through that later. The goal of this bill is to create a coordinated early childhood system in Connecticut. In 1997, Connecticut led the nation with the passage of school readiness. And school readiness reached across multiple departments with memorandum of agreement to work together toward an early childhood system. There was always a hope that what would happen was these multiple departments would get together and work together, which they have actually. There are many good folks in all those departments, but the system, after 14 years, is highly discoordinated. You have so many different programs for children, and many of you have heard me speak about this through the process this year as this bill has moved along. And so it's not so accessible to families to figure out what program do I fit in, and it's very difficult for our small businesses to fill out 47 pieces of paper per child per year to get the funding that they qualify for to pay for the students that are in their care. So we currently have 6 agencies providing direct services and multiple other agencies with memorandum of agreement, et cetera, leading, as I've spoken about, to complex coordination. By my estimates, we've spent $1 billion as a state on early childhood education since school readiness passed, and we don't have child outcome data yet. And that's not responsible public policy. I believe they've been dollars well spent, but I don't believe we've made the most of our dollars because it was spread across so many different agencies. So what this bill does is it sets up a planning process, a 2-year planning process, where a lead planner will work and look at all the different funding streams, look at the federal funding streams, and put together recommendations to the General Assembly and the administration about how to best create a coordinated early childhood system, and the bill calls for that system to be in place by 2013. The bill also brings together what are now various early childhood planning entities and statewide quality improvement entities into one place so that the planner is working with the other planners who are funded by federal dollars and state dollars. Specifically, the state receives about $700,000 from the federal government for a state advisory council, a Head Start state advisory council, referred to as a cabinet, and that person, it's a grant with EastCon, will be located in the State Department of Ed Early Childhood Department. We have something called the Head Start Collaboration, which is another federal initiative where Head Starts are meant to be collaborating with other programs serving low-income children, and that program will move to the State Department of Education and be located there to work on the planning. There's a program called the Accreditation Facilitation Project, which works with programs across the state, improving quality, helping them get accredited. So it has a statewide reach and a program level reach. That too will be based out of the State Department of Education. So you're sort of bringing the brain trust into one room and spending 2 years with the lead planner within available appropriations. And just to be clear, as we've worked on this bill, we've been working with philanthropy. Our philanthropic organizations are ahead of the curve on this. They've been looking at developing systems of early childhood education. The federal government has been giving signals that they're going to be looking to support states that are building comprehensive coordinated systems. And the foundations have been working on this for years already. And so they have an interest in supporting us with a funding for a lead planner when that is all worked out. So there is the planning element. This bill, as many of you know, started as an ambitious plan to start a new department of early education, and that recommendation came out of the Simmons Commission, which did work looking at how to close the achievement gap. It was a group put together by Governor Rell, and they didn't even start looking at early childhood in their plans, but as they studied, how can we close the achievement gap? How can we best improve our schools? They said the best thing we can do is invest in early childhood. So they looked at the system and they said, this is such a mess. You need a whole department of early childhood in Connecticut. And we made that aggressive push in a difficult year for a department, but we had input from many of the colleagues around the circle here in our hearings, with advocates and philanthropy and child care directors. Working with those folks, we came up with a plan that we think gets at the same issue and gives 2 years to plan for a coordinated system, and that's what this bill does. It also sets out very clear goals about what that coordinated system is to do, and much of it's outlined in the bill is about outcomes. It's about being responsive to family needs, and I'm happy to answer questions about that. So we're leveraging the resources of philanthropy here. We're setting clear goals for a coordinated system. We're moving to a statewide planning process and quality improvement. And as Senator Stillman mentioned, it couldn't have been more timely. 1 week ago, President Obama, through Arne Duncan, announced $500 million in competitive grants to states with a focus on states that are working on system building. And so what this bill says to the federal government is, in Connecticut, we're very interested in building a system that makes sense for families, a system that leads to quality outcomes that we can show, and we have data to show that these programs are working. And we're going to reach as many children as we can with our resources, and it may well mean, as this gets coordinated, we will be cutting down on the administrative costs and sending those dollars to the classroom. So I'll stop there, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I can't stop without thanking so many people who gave every single Monday, all session. Busy child care directors came here every Monday. The Early Childhood Alliance came every Monday, and they brought in members from phones who are working at their centers. Parent Power came every week. The Commission on Children helped at so many levels on drafting this, and they're very connected to what's happening federally and helped. The Simmons Commission, the Graustein Foundation, the Harford Foundation for Public Giving, the Community Foundations of Connecticut, our Family Resource Centers, our School Readiness Centers, our state-funded child care centers. I think listing them off and thanking them, this bill would not be nearly what it is without them. It probably wouldn't exist without them. And though sometimes when you're working in a big group like that, there are a lot of change orders, if you will. I believe the bill before us today is an incredibly strong bill and a testament to what happens when you allow people doing the work and interfacing the system to have a voice in developing a comprehensive policy shift that will improve the quality of the education for our youngest children at a time when their brains are both vulnerable, but also they are ready to take advantage. They're like sponges, and if you give them high quality care, that pays off for years to come. And this legislature has showed national leadership on this front in the past, and I believe this bill will move this state forward and will be a leader again. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for yielding, Senator Stillman.
Thank you.